There he is, guys. You see him? Oh, just like that. He's gone. That little baby fish in there. In the beta tank. And yes, this still is gonna be a beta fish tank, guys. I told you it would be. I'm taking my time. I'm going very, very slow. I'm really picky on what I want to get and where I want to get it from. So it's coming, it's gonna happen. Trust me. But that little fish you just saw, the glare over here is crazy. I apologize. There, oh, did you see him? He just whipped around there. And just like that, he's gone. You can only see him when I feed, which I fed a couple of minutes ago, and I literally sat by this tank for 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. He didn't come out. So I went and did my thing, came back, there he was, and now he's gone. Oh, here's a good shot of him. Here's a good shot of him. He's out in the open. Probably not for too long, though. Come on, focus. He's so small. The fish down here is, yes, a cherry barb, a little baby one. And if you guys have been following along, you'll know that when we set up this tank, we didn't put any fish into it. So there's a cherry barb in the tank. We got cherry barbs over here in the 33 that are breeding. There's 3 or 4 babies in here somewhere. There's a tiny one in the back there. He probably won't take a focus. And then there's some other ones that are a little bit bigger hanging around here somewhere. But the first thing I thought was one of the cherry barbs made the most epic jump from this tank into this tank through this tiny little gap in the back. But then, I mean, right after I thought that, I knew how stupid that was. Obviously, he got into this tank because we took plants from the 33 when we set up this tank, and he came in on probably a fertilized egg. That's definitely how this little fish made the epic journey from tank to tank. I've been trying really hard over the last week or two to catch this little fish and get him back into his tank with his parents and his brothers and sisters, but I've had no luck because he's just been hiding so well in here. But guys, check out the 33. So the last time you saw it, we rescaped it, we put the wood in, we took the old big lava rocks out, and we also added in a bunch of the Pinatophyta from the Blue Dream shrimp tank. We also threw on a ton of moss. You can see that that is doing really, really well in here. No algae, all thanks to the Amano shrimp, as well as the fairly balanced environment that we have in here. Yes, I do have a moss ball stuck to that piece of wood. But the other thing you'll notice is that I did a crazy trim on the carpet. So let's go back in time a couple of weeks and check out that whole process. That was pretty quick, more like a flashback, but I just wanted to show you kind of where the carpet was at and why I decided to do that. And it was mainly because the carpet was as tall as this stuff in the back, the replanted stuff that I took out. It looks really good because it has space, it can get light down there. So when you have a really thick carpet like it was before, the plant gets tall like this, and then because it's so tight, everything below a certain level just dies off. And that's kind of annoying, and that makes it to where, you know, when you do trim it, you get that horrible, just like gross yellow color that you have to deal with for, you know, 2 or 3 weeks, however long it takes for things to start growing again. So I just hacked it down as low as I could go, and this is where we're at. It's looking a little scarce, but here's the thing. Things are going pretty good in here. I mean, the hair grass, because there's now light over here, is spread way out over past the center of the tank. I'm down with that. I like that. But now I'm thinking I want to help fill in this area, because even if we wait another 2 or 3 weeks, I'm not super confident that we're going to get a very thick carpet in here, at least glosso wise. So here's what I want to do. Over here in the greenhouse area, just to the left of the tank, we have a few different things. We have some S-repens that's still in the greenhouse waiting to go into a tank. And then I have some moss here that needs a little bit of water. This is pretty dried up. But then I also have a bunch more Monte Carlo. And you guys will remember I said that I kind of wanted to have a Monte Carlo carpet in here because I thought that it would be a lot easier to maintain. I thought it would look really good. It's a really bright color, just like the Glosso, but I just felt like it would look better in the tank and it would take less trimming, and even if it did get tall, it wouldn't do the same thing that the Glosso does, which is basically kill off everything below a certain level of the carpet, and then you gotta deal with that gross stemmy yellow after the trim. Rather than just gutting the tank and starting fresh on a carpet, which would be a huge amount of work, I'd have to tear down pretty much the whole tank, I'm just gonna plant Monte Carlo in some of these thin spots in the carpet. And I think what that's going to do is it's going to create a really natural look in this tank. Just right here where we have hair grass and glosso growing together, I think it looks really good. It's very natural. It's more natural than if you had segmented areas where you have one plant versus another plant, because in nature things just grow where they can grow, which is often right next to each other or, you know, melted together. Here are the pots of Monte Carlo that we're going to be working with today, guys. Once again, donated by Aquarium Co-op. So if you're into this or any other type of plant, you can check out Corey's website and see what he has available. Very quick and very easy planting process. The Monte Carlo does look a little bit more blue, I guess, relative to the glosso. Right when you first plant this stuff, it's been grown immersed, so as time goes on and we get the true submerged form of this plant, it will be a little bit more green. At least that's what I've seen in my experience with this plant. So it should blend in a little bit better in the next few weeks once it starts to change the way that it grows. It should be a fun experiment to see how these different plants get along. You know, will the Monte Carlo grow like crazy and take over and choke out the glosso, or will the opposite thing happen? I don't know. It'll be a fun little experiment. Sit back and watch, and hopefully it just results with the tank looking good. That's really all that I care about. There's a gang of some of the babies there swimming away. They're getting big. They're a lot bigger than our little shrimp in here, but maybe once we pull him out and put him in here, he'll get competitive and want to grow faster. I don't know. One thing that's kind of blown my mind is how fast this Pinnatifida has grown. Like this stem right here, half that size when we first put it in. And it's actually kind of interesting. I was expecting the Pinnatifida to not grow vertically that much. I was expecting it to start to attach to the wood, which some of the pieces have, because some of the pieces we put in weren't just a bare vertical growth like some of these larger ones in the front were. So we do have some attachment, but not by a lot of the pieces that I put in here. And so I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just come in and top these off and replant them somewhere else, maybe more in the back, just to kind of balance things out. And then hopefully that triggers a more horizontal growth and spread of this plant. But it's grown a ton. I think I owe a lot of the growth to the aggressive CO2 that I'm running in this tank through my diffuser back there, as well as the complete fertilizer that I add to this tank almost 3 times a week. So this has always been a high-tech setup, and in my experience, the Pinnatifida does need nutrient supplementation. Okay, at least in my water, because my water is fairly soft. This plant is classified as being more of a potassium hog, so if you have hard water, you probably have higher levels of potassium and other hard water minerals that are associated with that, but I don't. So I think the addition of that fertilizer has really helped this plant. Before, when I used to not dose, I could never get this plant to grow. It would get super holy and it would just wither away. But besides that, guys, the tank's pretty much on autopilot. This is probably one of my favorite tanks right now. Even though the carpet is kind of crazy, I still just love to kick back on the couch and check this thing out when I'm relaxing. Not sure if I want to add any more fish to this tank. If I do anything, it'll probably just be adding more cherry barbs to it. I don't think I have any desire to add different types of fish, but if you have an idea for what might go well with these cherry barbs, let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell next to it, the notification button, because if you don't click it, then you're probably never going to see any of my videos ever again. That's just the way YouTube is these days. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. We will see you next time.